Right, I am actually going to film this video now, if that's alright with you, camera. Just go film, since it doesn't seem to know the meaning of the word film, video, I don't know. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and this is the third time I'm going to film this video, and I'm starting to get a little bit stressed because I have things to do and I've been filming since 2 o'clock and it's nearly 5 o'clock. But it's fine, because I'm going to be doing a video today about history and how to revise for it, because this was the most requested video ever, and I can see why, because history is a little annoying little child. So basically, between now and exams, this channel is going to be taking priority over my main channel, because I feel like I haven't been uploading on here because I felt so pressured to upload on my main channel. But obviously exams are coming around the corner, so this channel is going to be the one that I aim to upload on more than my main channel, although I am still going to upload my main channel. Do you see where I'm coming from? But I asked on Twitter which videos you would like to see, and literally everybody said history, science and English. So over the next 3 weeks there's going to be a video for history, a video for science and a video for English, which I'm filming right now. First one will be up this evening, and then they'll be up every Sunday here on out for the next 3 weeks, which I'm really excited about. But today I'm going to be doing history because this is the most requested one. So I'm not skipping out anything, I'm literally going to tell you everything I did to revise. They definitely work because I got full UMS in all of my history exams. History was my best GCSE, and the only reason I didn't take it at A-level was because I didn't like the topics enough to justify taking it. And I don't regret that because I took politics, but I thought I would let you know what I do for history and pretty much what I do for politics as well. So the main thing I did for history, and I know it sounds really stupid, is watch YouTube videos. And before you're like, Eve, hold on, that's not revision. It is, my friends, it is, okay? I'm not joking. Most of my history knowledge came from YouTube videos, specifically Matthew Langridge. He did a channel video playlist on the Cold War in Nazi Germany, and I watched those videos so many times, I'm genuinely not joking. I could recite them backwards, forwards, left, right, up, down. When I got into that exam, those videos were so firmly ingrained in my brain, and I'd written so many notes on them, and I'd added them to all of my other notes, and I just knew them, and I got tested on them by my mom, everything like that. I just knew them because they were so useful, because they were split up into causes, events, results. It was really easy to visualise it in my head. There are so many YouTube channels out there that do history videos. That personally was the only one I really used, but if you have a look around, I'm sure you will find loads. There's Hip Hughes History, I know that. There's another guy, but I can't remember his name. I'll try and link him down below if I remember. And there are just so many history videos, so Google your topic, have a look around, and definitely, if you're a learner like me that learns best from YouTube videos, then go for it. Second thing I used was BBC Bitesize. This obviously is only your base knowledge. It will probably get you a C or a B, which is not what I was aiming for, but I used it when I was really tired and I knew I needed to do some revision, but I couldn't be bothered to do like full out revision. So I'd watch the little activity things, which went through all of Nazi Germany, all of the Cold War, all of Hitler's foreign policy. It was very easy for me to like visualise events in sequence, and there were loads of little trivia quizzes and very basic notes, but still notes nonetheless, which you can add to your class notes, and just generally everything about BBC Bitesize, especially the videos and activities, I found really useful. What I did to actively revise for my exams rather than just passively watching was plan past papers. I did have a teacher that was very hot on past papers and mocks and doing them under time conditions. So at school I did so many timed mock exams that by the time I got to the exam I was pretty much like hot on the timing, hot on all of that. So if you don't have a teacher that does that, definitely try and get some papers marked by your teachers under time conditions, because that was probably the reason that our class did so well in history. But when I was on study leave, obviously I can't have teachers mocking my stuff. So what I did was I literally planned every single past paper, and by plan I mean write down my points and write down the things that I would say under the points, but without writing the actual essay. And then I would check it against the mark scheme and the examiner's report and see what I'd missed. So for example, say if I was writing an essay on civil rights but in the field of education, I would have said about Little Rock, what else would I have said about Brown versus Board of Education, things like that. And then say if I've missed out a really important juncture, then I would go back and revise that, because clearly I don't know it well enough that it will come up in my brain. And make sure that you're backing your things up with statistics, and then just look in the mark scheme, see what the general line of argument was, and if you've totally missed the mark, then you know that you really need to go back and revise that. But if you nailed it and you got everything on the mark scheme, well, near enough everything, you don't need everything, then you know that that is an area that you're more strong on perhaps. Now on to how I actually revise like the main bulk, because obviously you're thinking, well, you haven't mentioned like your actual notes or anything yet. So I never used my class notes. I took my class notes and made them into mind maps, and that is what I used to revise. So I had two different types of mind maps. I had my depth studies and my breadth study, because those were the two papers that I had. My breadth study were very much a lot more event based, whereas my depth was a lot more short period of time impact based. So for my breadth I had a mind map. It would have the event in the middle, the date of the event, causes, events, results in 3 little mind maps, and I would get my mum to test me on those until I knew them like back to front. I can still tell you them now. So I'd have the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962, causes, events, results, with statistics highlighted. I don't have one of those with me, but I had that for pretty much every single event in the timeline, because essentially my breadth paper was just a timeline of events that I had to know the events, know the causes, know how they link between the two, and that was literally it. For my depth study mind maps, I have one here, but it's a very old one. It's from like year 10, when I had my year 10 end of year, but it's still, you know, about right. So this is what it looked like, and it says impact of World War I on Russia in the middle, and then it has failure to make reforms, military defeats, difficult conditions, and the Tsarina and Rasputin. So then I had the 4 different core impacts, and then I split it off into like statistics. So Battle of Tannenberg, 130,000 casualties, things like that, just statistics that I would find useful to back up my point. And I would get my mom to test me on these, so she'd be like, okay, so what did the Tsarina and Rasputin have to do with World War I and its impact on Russia? And I would say everything, and what I missed she would tell me, and by the exam I knew these off by heart. Obviously this is like a results section of the breadth study one, but for me, mine was, for the depth, it was very much not events, it was more like periods of time, so like World War I. So like it wasn't like what happened in World War I, it was how it impacted different places. So yeah, I had to adapt my mind map making to my 2 different papers, because they were 2 completely different ways of writing. For example, my depth study was like Nazi Germany, Russian Revolution and civil rights, and they were very much not event based. Civil rights was, but Nazi Germany, yeah, there was events like Kristallnacht and things like that, but then you've got the impact of propaganda, which isn't necessarily an event, and like impact of wars and things like that. It's not something that you can quantify in a mind map. So definitely make sure that you're looking at your topics and what's required of you, because there's no point in making event mind maps and then missing out all of the bits in between. The other way I revised, and this is the one that I need to tell you to be careful with, is Post-it notes. As you can tell, I am quite a fan of Post-it notes. Those are English, but these were my lifeline for little facts, because for history you need to know your facts and your evidence and your dates, and the best way to do that is Post-it notes. But can I just say before I tell you how I did this, you can't just put the Post-it notes up around your room and not look at them. You need to make sure that every single time you walk past one of these, you turn it over, you look at it, because if you don't, you're really not going to get anything out of it at all, and you'll have wasted your time and your Post-it notes writing them out. So for this one, for example, this one says what were living conditions like for black Americans, and then on the back it says 50% lived in poverty and 2 more blacks were unemployed. 2 more blacks? Not 2 more blacks. 2 times more blacks were unemployed. So I just wrote it really quick shorthand, and then I had another one and it was like how many African Americans fought in World War I, and I said it was 1 million. I can still remember that because every single time I walk past it in the bathroom I always turned it over, and it's just a really good useful way to have quick recall facts on demand. I had Post-it notes literally everywhere in my room, like there are still some hiding. I found this one in my wardrobe, which is why I can show it you. And please, please, please use this if you do history. I know it's literally the most repeated thing ever, like it's the tactic that everyone says to use, and everyone's always like, oh, it doesn't work. It does work if you actually bother to look at them. You can't just walk past and be like, oh, I don't fancy it right now. Every single time, like even if it's 1:30, you've just gone for a wee, just look at it, because by the time you get to the exam they will be so ingrained in your skull that you will be able to reel off facts like a mad woman. A lot of things that people have said to me with history is that they struggle to put the events into context, because usually if you're writing an essay about the causes of an event or the results of an event or whatever, you kind of have to know where that event lies within a timeline of events and put it into context. So for example, oh I don't know, Cuban Missile Crisis obviously links to the Bay of Pigs and things like that, so you need to be able to link that, and like the Saar links to the Rhineland, which links to Anschluss, which links to all of these things, and the Night of the Long Knives and Kristallnacht and all of those all interlinked. So you need to be able to know and see those in like a timeline form. So what I did, because I'm very much a visual auditory, like I kind of do both, I very much rely on hearing and seeing things, but I wanted to try out a bit of all three, if that makes sense. So what I did was I wrote every single event on a flashcard, and what I used to do was try and order them as quickly as I could while saying them out loud. So I was hearing them out loud, I was hearing it, and I was also ordering them. And I'd have a little reference sheet so I could check my answers, and I'd be like, right, I'd shuffle the cards, and then I'd be like 3, 2, 1, go, and I would just put them all out really quickly and make sure that I got the timeline in my head. So by the time I got to the exam, I knew exactly where the events lay in a timeline of events. Another way to do it is to make a timeline and put it on your wall, but I tend to find that you don't learn as much having stuff on your wall. Like, I know I've got stuff on my wall, but you tend to learn more when you're doing stuff. So I also, with these, put the dates on the back, so if I was stuck I could reference the date really quickly, but I tried not to. I tried to say the date out loud without looking. When I was like on the go and I couldn't just put it in a big timeline, I used to hold the flashcard and be like, right, what event comes before and after this, and then I could check my reference sheet, because then I would know what context it's in. And that came in really handy in the exam, because in my introduction I could put it in context and say how it linked to other events, because I knew exactly which event came before and which event came after. So that is pretty much everything I did for history. One thing I would stress about history is that it does seem like an inordinate amount of information, and I know that it's really difficult sometimes to put it into perspective. History was definitely the one that I dedicated the most time to exam-wise, and it was definitely the one that I did the best in. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, but if you are struggling with history, please try and follow these tips, because I assure you they will work. Mind maps especially, that is the best way to condense information for history. You don't need to know all of your class notes, you just need to condense it into the things that you know you'll be able to apply in an essay at the end of the day. That's what you need for history, is the skills to be able to link it really quickly. So always try and set your brain up into, is this causes, is this what actually happened, or is this the results? If you can think in that way, have the causes, events and results in your memory ready to spew out, then you really can't go far wrong with history. So make sure you look at your specification as well. Like, if I'm telling you that there's a breadth and a depth study and you have 2 depth studies, it's not going to help you very much. So make sure you look at your own specification and tailor that to your learning. And yeah, I hope this is a very useful video. Please comment down below as many video requests as you have, and help each other out in the comments. I want the comments to be full of video requests and people helping people out with questions, and I'll see you next week with a science video. Bye guys! Mwah.